Welcome everybody by a very, I think, very special and highly important webinar, panel, whatever you want to call it, with amazing people, media makers in the front line. Today there is from ZIN Productions, there are Corinne van Egeraat and Petter Blom. Some people say Peter, but I say Petter. I like it better than Petter. They've worked in Myanmar for many years. They made an amazing documentary there called Storybook, where poems are the weapon. Art is the weapon of resistance at the time. And we have with us Igor Blažević. He's the founder of One World in Prague, one of the most biggest important human rights film festivals in the world, so to speak. You are also set up Civil Society Center, am I right? Yeah. And you helped also setting up film festival, human rights film festivals at more locations. So, you know, we're talking the first half, we're going to talk about Myanmar, then we're going to talk about Belarus, and you know both. And we have with us Shigal Dehuda, a very good friend of mine, who is the founder of Close Up, which was before Greenhouse. And Close Up is an NGO that works with filmmakers from the Middle East and North Africa. So we have a very strong team here today. Welcome you all. And did I miss out something for now? No, everybody, oh, cool. What I would first like to do, because what are we going to do this first bit is talking about what's going in Myanmar. And Corinne, Petter and Igor have a lot of contact with the filmmakers over there, and they're sending over films. And since we are here to support them, I would like to first introduce a clip of 4 minutes of one filmmaker who's talking about their situation at this particular moment in time, and then we will elaborate on that. So I think it's time to show the clip of the people who are now at so much in risk. Wow, that's makes me silent. I know there are over 100 filmmakers arrested now, also a human rights film festival director. So what do you know about the situation now, Corinne, Petter and Igor, and what is your contact with them?
Sure. Well,
go ahead, Corinne.
Yeah.
No, our only personal experience is that, well, we lived in Myanmar for 4 years making our film. And so as soon as the coup happened, the network of young filmmakers that we know there reached out to us almost immediately.
Right.
And despite the kind of indecision that you see in that video clip, it's not really matched by their actions, which are extraordinary. They're still creative and they're still making art, and they can't stop and they don't want to stop. And they're taking tremendous risks to try to make work and to send it out to share with the world. So we're basically, since February, are just in deep awe of their courage, you know. So.
Yes, the reason why we know quite a few filmmakers there is because we were also teaching human rights filmmaking to film students there at the film festival that Igor helped set up.
And Igor, what is your contact now? What can you?
I'm engaged with Myanmar, with Burma for already 10 years, and in 5 years I was living there. And similar like Peter and Corinne, I was more teaching activists in Myanmar and the former political prisoners. Yeah. So I have about 400 my former students in Myanmar in this moment, and all of them are in a similar situation, basically kind of in a fear that they will not be alive tomorrow, afraid that they will be arrested, and if they will be arrested, they will be tortured and killed. But on the other side, what we have there is extraordinary courage. Extraordinary. People are simply not giving up. The whole nation is up. They are facing the murderous, brutal war machinery. They are facing the army, which basically is waging the war for already 60 years. So this is the army which is basically has done the ethnic cleansing, has has done the genocide. It's a ruthless machinery.
Yeah.
But what is incredible there, let's say that it's not really activists who are opposing. It's not just political people. It's the whole nation, the doctors, the teachers, the students, the ordinary workers, the poor people, the rich people, the creative people. And I think that there is a hope. I think that the country is going through the huge trauma, but at the same time, let's say this courage of the people is incredible. And one more important thing, let's say all problems of Myanmar are created by the divisions between the many ethnic groups which are living there. And this tragedy, because everybody is a victim and everybody is united against the junta, is creating a new understanding among the people and ethnic groups in Myanmar. So I would say, let's say that hope is small. The struggle is incredibly hard and painful and full of sacrifice, but there is a small hope, and that is important thing for all of us, not to give up from that hope and stand behind the people there.
That's really cool. And I think it's very good we talk about it, but I tried this 1.5 hours to give them as much of a voice as well. And I know through Peter and Corinne, there is another clip of the filmmaker, which this was like a real interview of him, but this is also a clip where I want to show this to you in order for you to see and then reflect on that clip, because that's how we can give them a voice here, isn't it? So I really would like to play the next clip where this filmmaker is giving us on another level, another way, an insight in what's going on in Myanmar at the moment. So let's show that second clip.
Sit anashin la ama, a chowdiane, that alone shindania magule chowde. Nahurima, Nagashi, 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 Nahurima, Nagashi. Yachine, Yoshine, General Matare, a Madi, Daddy account him a power ma chowde. O General appear to methodology like the Apankaya, the General a Nupinyago, that alone to tapia like doma. That are so me. The Nanganagama so in General, a Miai now Jani, General Koran, Lila Nia, thing you near, Dilo Chinima, General, Bobby Livia, Basalo Yaman, Masalo Lumiaro. Taloma Tijara, General Boario, that like the lower.
Yeah, Igor, had you seen, or have you seen it, or let's go to Zigal. When you see these two clips, I mean, you work with so many filmmakers who were in very harsh and difficult situations while trying to make a film. What is your take on when you're seeing this? I think you see it for the first time, I guess.
I see it for the first time, and working with filmmakers in our region, of course, it's not new. To see so many filmmakers in our region, Afghanistan, Iran, Turkey, Palestine, that are at risks. And, I cannot, speak about, of course, the courage of the filmmakers to resist. And often we see the courage of filmmakers to use the camera as a tool of not only reflection, but also, in many cases, as a physical tool to protect themselves in a way. We've seen it, of course, in films like Five Broken Cameras, when the military actually entered the house of the filmmakers itself to arrest him, and the camera is actually standing behind him and the soldiers. And of course, there are different situations and different danger situations. And this is something that is so extreme that you ask yourselves also how you can protect the filmmakers. And I think this is where our role as international organizations come to its importance of how we can, in one hand, support the filmmakers and encourage them to bring these important images from these conflicts and the places that they're facing so much danger, and on the other hand, how we could somehow provide protection. And this, I think, is something that we all have to ask ourselves. And it's not an easy answer. There is no easy answer to that. I think that we've all experienced filmmakers that the international pressure that came from different organizations helped to release them. But there are many that are paying the price, many that are arrested, many that are get killed. And this is something that it's very difficult to cope with.
And I mean, for Corinne and Peter, these filmmakers send this material to you, and also Igor, how are you in contact with them now?
Well, we have probably one main contact there who is very well connected, and he is the one who is telling people, hey, that we're basically offering our services, and we want to help as much as we can, and so this filmmaker sent us the clips, and then we said we try to find places to. For example, this is a film that's going to be broadcast in the Netherlands. It's going to be a short documentary of 12 minutes, and then for him, that is really what he wants. He wants to, and it's kind of we also really. We were very impressed by how he makes the film, because it's such a different kind of storytelling.
Yeah,
it's really a film about fear. So it's the opposite almost of. I mean, it's really, but he still wants to tell his story, and of course he's a good filmmaker. So
yeah, I know him.
And then our main contact, he has put us in touch with a whole group and a collective of filmmakers, and we sometimes don't know who they are. I mean, often don't know who they are.
No, because there's but Igor, sorry, Corinne, sorry, what were you saying?
It's mostly that we can, when we see the material, we can offer our help, so we can do storytelling consultancy, and we can, if it's good enough, we can say, hey, we're going to reach out. And there's now 2 broadcasters in the Netherlands, which is the Humanistische Omroep and KRO NCV Boeddhistische Blik, who are who have said, yeah, we really want to support this. So that's also really important.
That's new, but that's cool. That's good.
That the media makers are here are also wanting to support and give some financial support, and this is all really
that's a sort of positive thing. But Igor, I know you're so involved there. I mean, we're going to show a next clip where he's specifically talking about you. How can you, from other side of the world, what is your advice? What is your take? How is your contact with them?
Look, let's say I'm in contact with colleagues in Myanmar through basically signal, and then let's say internet there is off and on. Let's say there is now already increased number of the Thai SIM cards which are basically brought into the country, so it's possible, let's say, from time to time to have a contact. And I agree very much with what Sigal has said. It's a damn hard. Let's say, honestly speaking, I would not wish anybody to be in that situation, to have a couple of 100 friends, let's say, in a country like that, and basically be in a situation that it's like watching the Medusa head. Every day you wake up and there are 100 snakes which are jumping on you and showing you the terror, the fear, and I'm Bosnian. I have gone through that. I have spent 4.5 years dealing with the war in my country, and I learned one thing: there are moments in a life, and moments in a history where things are, and evil is bigger than us. The terror, the war, the genocide, that confident, brutal dictatorship are stronger than us. But even if they are stronger than us in one particular moment, there is one big lesson, let's say, that life is stronger than death. We in Bosnia survived. We paid a huge price, but we survived. Bosnia is still there. So life is stronger than death. People in Syria will be stronger than death. People in Myanmar will be stronger than death. The other thing, creative spirit is stronger than the terror and destruction. So everywhere where you have a terror and destruction, the creative spirit is jumping there. And what we can do is tell the stories, because again, terror wants to destroy the nations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nations cannot be destroyed. People can be killed, but nations cannot be destroyed. But nations need the stories, because stories helps them to prevail. Stories help them to stay together. They helps them to heal. And what we can do, we can help this creative spirit, which is struggling in this disaster, to come and tell the stories, because stories will help us go over. But we must stay
and
humble.
write history, right? And also write the history that we will not forget. Igor, I mean, you're so fascinating to listen to, but somebody's talking about you in the next clip. And I want to try in this bit to keep as much as we can with the filmmakers in Myanmar. And then you can pick up immediately after this next clip. I'd love to show to you, or love to show. I want to share it with you. That's maybe a better phrase, and then you can pick up on that, Igor, because I think that matches. Can we show the next clip, please? Why that silence you? In this silence, I want to say to the people who are listening in, if you have any questions for the panel, you can put it in the chat. That's just a remark. Igor, back to you.
I can just repeat that sometimes we must admit that kind of the evil is bigger than us, and we should not give up. Let's say there is one small, beautiful Buddhist story, which I kind of was reading to my daughter, and it is about fire in the forest. And then everybody is escaping, and one small bird is going to the pond and bringing drops of the water, trying to extinguish the fire. And everybody say, go escape. And the bird said, no, let me do what I need to do. And then the gods come and say, crazy bird, go and save your life. And the bird said, no, I need to do what is my duty, to extinguish the fire. And then the gods said, send the rain. So the question is, who sent the rain, the bird or the gods? And I think that the bird, let's say, sent the rain. And that's the only thing what we can do when we face this kind of the tragedy. Let's say, bring our drop and believe, let's say, the rain will fall.
That's a beautiful analogy, if you say in English, I think. And to pick on that drop, I mean, Corinne and Peter, I know you're launching a platform in order, well, you have to tell us about Generation Free for a platform where they can put on their films, but maybe you should explain, because you know it far better than I do.
Sure, you want to go? Yeah, we had the idea when we were following what's happening that we would like that stories come out that aren't just journalistic accounts, and also just accounts of the violence, of course, which is primarily what we see on social media. So we had an idea to start through our network to collect personal stories that could humanize and create general sympathy and compassion for the people of Myanmar. So that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Very early stages. And I have to say, I also think that we have a different idea, and I really like what Igor said about the value and importance of creativity and how that's crucially tied to freedom. Because in Myanmar, I mean, it's part of the culture there that poetry is so deeply, deeply revered and seen as a tool of resistance. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's something that's super special. But it's so funny is that so often we think that art and creativity are just luxury products that in situations like this don't matter. We run into that in the stupidest way when we're trying to reach out for funding. People say, oh, well, culture, like, excuse me, there's a coup that has no value or importance. But it's really not the case. It's what allows people to be free, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I always think that the societies completely underestimate the power of art in all its forms. If it's music, if it's poetry, if it's a film or anything. But I'd like to, as I said before, I really want to show as much as I can. I mean, I love you all, but to also show what they have to tell us. So I'd like to go to the next clip, which will be on Generation Free, and it's called "They Took My Dad." That's one of the clips you want to be showing on Generation Free. So let's watch that clip, please.
အကိုမသိပဲလုံးလို့မရအောင်လေဒါဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲကျမတို့ဖေကမဟုတ်တဲ့ဟာမတရားလို့တခုမှမလုပ်ထားဘူးရှင်ကျွန်တော်ဖေမလုပ်ထားဘူးရှင်နော်ကျမတို့ဖေကနော်ခေါင်းဝက်နေရလည်းမဟုတ်ဘူးလက်နဲ့တွေတုံးပြီးတော့မှဟိုရောဒီနားတညာလည်းမဟုတ်ဘူးလေပြီးတော့ဘင်းကမှလူတစ်ဖက်ကိုလည်းနိုင်ကြည့်မိတော့ကားလို့ပြောမှာမဟုတ်ဘူးကိုကတခါနဲ့ကိုနေနေဒီချိန်မှာကျမအဖေမပြောရှင်တော့ဖမ်းသွားတယ်တခုတော့ပြပြပြလို့မရနိုင်ဘူးလားအတိုင်းတခုတော့ရှေ့ရမှာပေါ့ဘာပြစ်ချင်လဲအဖေမပြစ်ချင်လဲစီတော့ပြောပြမှရမှာပေါ့ဖြည့်ပြမှရမယ်လေအကိုပြပြပါအောင်တခုတော့ပြပြမှာကျမတို့တော့တခုတော့ပြပြပါရှင်ဘာကြောင့်ကျမအဖေကိုခေါ်သွားလဲပြပြသိချင်တာရှင်အဲ့ဒါလေးဒါပဲနော်ဘာလို့ဘာကြောင့်မဟုတ်ဘူးနော်ဟုတ်လားလိုင်းပြီးလောက်ကြားရတာလေနော်လူတယောက်ကိုအမောက်ဝင်မျိုးမခေါ်တာဟုတ်သူကသူဟုတ်ဘူးအဲ့လိုပြောပြလို့မရအောင်ရှင်ချက်ရှိမှရမယ်ချက်ရှိမှခေါ်လို့ရမှာရှင်အဲ့လိုလုပ်လို့မရအောင်လေအခုအကိုမရှောက်ဘူးအကိုအဲ့လိုမလုပ်ပါနဲ့ကျမတို့ဖေကအကျမ်းပါမဖြစ်တာမဟုတ်ဘူးရှင်မရှောက်ဘူးခဏလေးမေးစရာကြီးလို့ပြန်လို့ရှေ့ရေးစစ်စစ်ခေါ်ပါလိုက်လေထောင်းရမ်းပါလားအကိုတို့စမှာအဲ့ဒါလေးကျမတို့ပြပြပေးပါနော်ခဏလေးပါနော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတော့အတင်းမလုံးနဲ့နော်အဲ့ဒါဖေအတင်းလုံးပြမလို့မဟုတ်ဘူးလေအဲ့ဒါဖေအတင်းလုံးပြမလို့လေခဏလေးအဖေအမျိုးတော့ထည့်ပြအောင်ပါလေခဏလေးထည့်ပေးမယ်လေသိကြလားရှင်တို့ခဏပဲဆိုရင်ဘယ်လိုဖြစ်မှာလဲကြောက်ကြောက်ပါခဏလေးအဲ့ဒါမစီတော့ထည့်ပေးမယ်လေနော်ခဏလေးဆောင်ပေးပါရှင်ဖြစ်ခဲ့လားသိကြလားရှင်မဟုတ်ဘူးခဏမှကြောက်တော့ပါသိကြမလားအဖေ
Sigal, when I see this clip, it's you were talking about, of course, what is happening here is very different what is happening in your home country, Israel. But when we did together, we didn't, but we guided together the film 5 Broken Cameras. Don't you think it's like there's a scene when one of the children is not the father, but one of the children is arrested, and how the mother is under tanks. Don't you? What? I mean, it spontaneously would. I'm like tears in my. Yeah. What you
exactly
think?
The same. Exactly, Marche. I mean, of course, the images of. I was just thinking. You know, we keep seeing similar atrocities in just different countries, different places, different regimes. And it's really, again, of course, outrageous, and you understand, you know, what the filmmakers, what the people are going through. And it's just, again, so much courage of the people that are documenting. And I have, you know, we have several, not only 5 Broken Cameras, where, again, Imad, the filmmaker, not only documented, not only showed the atrocities themselves, but also was saved because he put the camera as a kind of shelter in a way, because he was shot and the camera saved him. So the metaphor of a camera as being a tool of protection is very strong. And I can also share with you a filmmaker from Afghanistan who made a film about sexual abuse that the character was going through for 13 years at home. When the only time that she could be saved was when she came out to the media. And I think it's also something that people need to understand. Sometimes the media or exposing those atrocities are sometimes they could help, not in all the cases, but sometimes people should understand, or filmmakers should understand, that this is the strength of actually showing those images and the importance of showing these images. And last thing, I think that what is also made me think what Igor and Peter and Corinne said before, Corinne, about it made me think about the strength of the community. The strength of how we can strengthen the community, not only by getting stories out there and spreading them, but also giving them the power to understand that when they are strong together, they are not lonely, they are heard, but also somehow we could provide to them the support of creating this community of resistance. It's not only one. When there is a community of resistance, it's already a strength. And then you know that they are trying, of course, to create fear. They are trying to always use the fear as a tool. We see it everywhere. We see it here with the extreme right government and the way that people are starting to censoring themselves. And this is a very, very dangerous place for artists, filmmakers, and activists to be. So absolutely, what the images we saw totally reminded me also of 5 Broken Cameras and many other films of resistance.
But what they did as well, and I want to actually jump immediately to the second clip, because that's where art resistance, this is a very raw, was a very, very strong, of course, clip. And now we'd like to show you a clip where you talk about art and resistance in a different way, but it touched me equally the same. So let's show the second clip, the next clip. I mean, it's not the second, the next clip. Corinne and Peter, this clip we just saw, was that sent now? Was that sent, how long ago was this made?
2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, so the open call we made was really in general. So the first clip you showed from the what we want to show on the platform was an example of citizen journalism. So it's basically not a filmmaker. It was also spread over social media. So we don't know exactly how the clips come to us. We just put it out there that we want to receive them, and then eventually we would like to edit them into an open letter of from Myanmar, let's say. So we want to take that creative freedom to do that. And this was that clip was already from the beginning of it was in February, I believe, right, Igor? Week, I think, because you also watched it. And the second one is about 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay. So for the others, and then we are going to jump, not out of disrespect for Myanmar, but we will be going to go to another place where it's a very harsh situation at the moment in Belarus. But before we go, how do you all think about like a platform like this? Would that be an answer? Would that be a weapon, or is it? What do you guys think?
I like Igor's metaphor of the little drops of water. I think that's what we're tiny, small little contributions.
Yeah, it's really one of the things that we really notice is that from our context there is that they say, please give us a voice outside the country. Please communicate what's happening and think of us, and that's mainly why we are doing this.
Yeah, and Igor, were you familiar already with this platform, or is this new to you? I did not know actually.
It's as far as I know, it emerged as a reaction on the coup, let's say. But people, let's say, behind that are the people whom, or some of them I know. Let's say now many things are emerging there that you don't know really who is doing that, because it's dangerous what they are doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we really can conclude, and that it's extremely good that, I mean, I think for only Myanmar itself deserves a 3-hour talk, and we talk about it in the third part, but I'd like now actually to jump to the situation in Belarus, and for that reason with us is now Alexei. We see Corinne and Peter a little bit later back to talk about it in a more for both situations. So I would like to now welcome Alexei. You are the director of an amazing film called Courage. I know you made a shorter film before, but this is a film, I mean, I've seen it and I was pretty blown away by what I've seen, knowing that it's so hard to film at this moment in time in Belarus, and that I'm talking about art as power, as a weapon in a way. It's like the theater and the new Belarusian theater is very well known, isn't it, Alexei? I mean, it's traveling all over the world. It's in big podia, but in Belarus, it's underground. Am I correct?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. That's my introduction to you. Over to you.
Thank you for your attention and for your thoughts about Myanmar and, of course, about my country, Belarus. You are right. Belarus theater is quite famous abroad. This theater is also famous inside the country, but this, let's say, this attention is not so free as abroad. It's quite dangerous, and but at the same time, I appreciate and I think it's a right position for an artist, and I appreciate my protagonist, Denise, Pyle, Marina, not only for their professional principle to be honest to their audience, but also to be honest to himself. And this film Courage was in one way also trying to understand who we are as Belarusian, because this summer changed a lot of. It was not something new. We should be honest to himself. This process continues still beginning of 90s. And actually, this process started much more before. This process started maybe in 30s of 20th century.
Already, yes.
That's something new. It's a lot of people right now have a feeling in Belarus that we have the same times as in Stalin times. People say it's very open. We have 30 years on the street.
30 years already. Shall we, you brought a clip with you, so to get an idea of the film, and I encourage you, I think a few of you saw it already in the panel, but and others maybe not, but let's watch a clip and then maybe you can explain what we've been looking at. Yeah, let's watch the clip of Courage.
Не ключи от дома, куда идти?
Ты помнишь номер телефона кого-то из своих близких?
Я одна.
У тебя больше никого нет?
Я в Минске одна.
Может быть, твои родственники уже здесь?
Нет.
Ты
уверена?
Ты живешь в Минске?
Есть. На Селе я живу, там меня задержали. Вы тоже.
Под знак транспорта тут покушать и попить. Под знак водители там вас подвезут домой.
Лыка!
Давайте, может, какой-то коридор сделаем, чтобы...
Could you, Alexei, for people who have not seen the film, I know it was in the Berlinale, it's now in Vision des Réals, it will be in CPH Dog, it will be in Hot Dogs, but some people might not have seen, of course, the film. Could you explain where we are when we see, where we show the film, the clip, clip.
It is very emotional scene for me because it was shot on the third night during the protest. It's a night on which mostly people that were arrested some days before will be released. And why it's very emotional thing for me, because can you imagine this? You are in the middle of a European capital, Minsk, and you stay with maybe 500 or 600 people. It is relatives, families, wives, children of people that are detained right now. And you stay in completely silence, quietness. This feeling I will not forget. And you heard only that the sound of a huge metal door will be opened. And this, you have seen, it was maybe 17 years old young woman will be released. And people started to applaud. These people that stayed with you 2 or 3 hours in totally quietness started to applaud. And at the same time, you heard that some people inside of prison will be touched. And people understand that they have to stop to applaud, because if you applaud much more, the people will be much more torn inside. And this, this feeling is quite, it's a crazy feeling, yeah. And why it's so important for me? Because I try to impress the sense of this topic. We have in Europe one country that totally is a prison, people. We have since more than 26 years, one country that completely is a prison. And every day, also friends of me called me and said, Alexei, Anton was detained. This guy was detained, yeah. And you understand that there is a civil war inside of Belarus, but nobody announced this civil war. It's such case of occupation. And as I also very like the metaphor of Igor that he say about these birds, really, really positive. And I would like also to say that people are very traumatic right now in Belarus, but at the same time, they have a hope. And I think it's quite important right now for us as artists, as film director, to take a distance to this evening, to this what's happening, and to try to find an answer, firstly for us, and then to give this answer to these people. And these people, I speak about people that took part in protest, need this answer. What will do we the next? Yeah, because we as artists should to bring this reflection.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you're so extremely right. And as you know, additional to this, we have the festival director, who Igor know. I think you know Tanya, huh? Igor. Yeah, of course. Maybe you can reflect on it much more. Who's also been in prison, and now she's been released. But it's a very, very harsh situation. Her husband and one child has been abandoned for 10 years now. And so, Igor, can you reflect? What could we, as the international film artist community, do, help, be?
Look, let's say it's when we are facing something what I call civilized dictatorships, then we know what to do. Let's say then we do the appeals, we do campaigns, and sometimes we help some people, let's say, get out of the prison. But what we are facing now in Belarus, what we are facing in Myanmar and in some other places are really kind of the murderous or state capture by the murderous terrorist groups, which basically kind of are terrorizing, and as Alexei said, are keeping in a prison the whole population. So honestly speaking, one and first thing what I painfully learned as a respond on your question, is to admit my feeling of the hopelessness and helplessness. That's it. Basically, really to face and to admit and say, I cannot do anything, and be humble, be in front of this fact that I cannot do anything, because then in that moment I realized that I can love people there whom I know. I can every day send them a message that I care, that I think. And by keeping this human personal contact with them, I help them to go through that without getting mad, and I help myself go through that without getting mad. Because when I think that I should stop that, then I'm getting mad, because then I'm facing, let's say, this lack of my adequacy to do something against them. So this is one thing, really, to be humble and to stay on a level of the very private, very human solidarity of one person with a few people who are in a trouble spot, because this love and care really matters, really matters. The other thing, but let's say I can talk maybe later a little bit to how important it is to create the solidarity before the crisis starts. Because when the crisis is too big. But when we created solidarities in advance, let's say, then basically we have these trust and relations and links which can help us go through the very, very hard and dark and hard times.
So for instance, the prize, the opposition got in the Sakharov Prize, in that respect has been tremendously important. Is that so, or is that too?
I think that was important, but it was really also important that there is a watchdog festival who basically helped in Poland, which created
Magic is amazing. Yeah.
Magic, and then basically, let's say, then you have a people who cared about her during the whole time as a friend to friend. Let's say, so that there is this kind of.
Yes,
sir. This is the solidarity which was created before, that basically we are brothers and sisters in the better times, in the times of hope.
No, but in that respect, you're really, really right. You know, we have the Human Rights Film Network, as you know, of over 40 festivals who all been writing letters to help Tanya in this case, and somewhere else. And I'm curious, Sigal, what you think, and then I like to bring in also Corinne and Peter again. Like, what I mean, I know what you're saying. I'm listening very carefully. Be humble, and that's on a one-on-one basis, which we have to do. Sigal, what is your take on that when you hear and see this from your experience?
I agree very much with what Igor has been said, and I spoke earlier, I think, about the community. We have to understand our limitations. In a way, and we are not able to do everything, and offering, of course, solidarity and giving strength to the community by supporting it, by just keeping them human, on the human level of being with the people who are there, is incredibly important, and I think helps a lot to those who are inside. And understanding our limitations, it's also somehow in a way, when Igor, you said doing things to prevent or act before, is actually in places that are very vulnerable. I think that the importance of the community, of the media, of the filmmakers, of the artists, activists, is very, very important. And those who can actually ring the bell of the red alarm, I would say, is really the people on the ground. And I think if they know that they have allies, organizations, cultural organizations around them, that they could share what's going on in their own countries, this is a way for them to, for us, I think, for all of us as cultural organizations, to be engaged and to give this support, and of course to do everything that we can in order to give this strength, because of course the regimes, and I think that would be everywhere. Maybe I could give example in Turkey. In Turkey, when the authorities arrested Osman Kavala, who was one of the strongest leaders of the opposition, somebody that was also gave money and funds to issues like the Armenian cause and the Kurdish, and the government knew that once they arrest someone so strong like Osman Kavala, everybody down him would know that they have to be in fear. And this is really something that many of the countries of the regimes are doing, creating fear, arresting the strongest person, and then everyone below. And this is where there is a chaos also in the feeling of, I think, communities of the filmmakers and activists, that they feel that they are going to be next, and they are going to be next. And we see this
they're going to be next
in Turkey. And in regards to Osman Kavala, who was fighting human rights and atrocities in Turkey, he's still in prison for no really reason for more than 2 years. And I think, again, this is where fears is created and where filmmakers and activists start to censor themselves. And again, what we're trying, of course, to do is continue this support to these filmmakers, to Armenian filmmakers, to Kurdish filmmakers, to Turkish filmmakers who are criticizing. And of course, not only in Turkey, I'm talking also throughout the region, in Iran, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Palestine, everywhere that we work. Our only way to be, I would say, productive in any sense is just help these filmmakers to bring those important stories out there. And I think this is our role as international organizations.
And picking up on that, I mean, there's a second clip I would really like to show from Courage. That's where the regime and the resistance sort of come together, and I thought it was so impressive to watch. And I think it would be great to, and very important to show that clip, and then Corinne and Petter can, I say, let's join the club and again and talk about how we as an international community, what we can do, and elaborate a little bit on that. So could see please the second clip of Courage. Wow, that's so yeah, very impressive. Can you maybe, like you did at the other clip, Alexei, reflect a bit on what we were in the film?
It was a very strange day. I think a lot of time about this day. You know, I cannot really understand what's happened because a huge amount of people, demonstrations, goes through the street of Minsk to the parliament. They wanted to speak with people from parliament, but it was clear that there are no people in parliament there except the army. And then some young soldiers, some young recruits come out to the people, and I think it was very honest from soldiers. They don't really want to be on the side of violence. They wanted to be with people, and I think it was quite honest impulse.
Sorry, would you mind picking up again, Alexei, from the clip, after the clip?
I just wanted to say that I found out in this moment very honesty and very really some irritation situation. I had feeling for some milliseconds that the situation will be changed really. I truly believed in this some seconds. But later I saw that this, let's say, this wall of young recruits growing up, and a lot of people, a lot of army comes inside from parliament building, and it was clear there will be no dialogue with the people. And some days later, a lot of people in Belarus started to criticize some woman that they give a present, give flowers to this young soldier. You know, I don't really know. Was it really a theater performance from authorities, or it was some impulse from young recruits to be on the side with nation, with people? I think we need really time to observe and to understand this event, and because if we will, honest to say, if we will think more and about the other side of people, about other side of society, and we'll understand the logic of these people, yeah, then we can really maybe we can peaceful win, yeah. It's very difficult question.
It's done in the past. It's done in the past in a certain way. But I mean, Igor, you were nodding, and I mean, it felt like I was thinking: are the flowers the drops of your poem, or are they something else? I did not know either. To be really honest,
I think it's I will honestly say it's worth trying. It's even we don't know. Maybe it's just a show in theater, but. You know, we must try to get things peacefully and to try to oppose the violence with, let's say, the effort to swing it in another direction. And that would be my response. Let's say sometimes, let's say, you can't do anything else with the violence, but really kind of defend yourself. Yeah. So, and I would always say, you know, sometimes just go and defend yourself because there is no other choice. But as long as you can, let's say, try to kind of reach out and do it differently, because let's say going into the violence, both sides or all sides, it's so destructive for everybody and everything that it's always makes sense try other way.
Yeah, there's no way out. Somebody is giving a remark on this for you and saying to be humble and love, how beautiful and inspiring that we can all contribute. So that was inspiring to somebody who's listening. Thank you for that. And somebody else is asking us, I think all of us in this panel, it's great you're having so much attention in this case for Tanya, but isn't it also, will it not backfiring on the situation because there is so much international attention from our international film community? What's your take on that? I mean, you're all quite experienced in this. Or is that tailor-made?
I think Sigal already responded in a certain way on that and say we don't save everybody. And we can't do that. But what I know, we can save some people, so attention makes sense, and for that reason it's necessary to try. And the second thing, even let's say when we don't save people, let's say they know that they have not been abandoned, and this thing of basically not letting people be abandoned is another extremely important thing, let's say, because these regimes want to frighten people, to break them, and to make them feel that they are lonely and that they are the only fools in a whole world that want freedom, dignity, and justice. Let's say. So our solidarity is helping and sending them message to say, no, guys, you are not fools, you are heroes.
Yeah, that's what you. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I totally agree with Igor, and I just wanted to add, Tanya yesterday said in one, she wrote in one post, and she told that, I speak about Tanya Hatsurevorska, the head of Watch the Dogs in Belarus.
Watch Dogs Belarus, yeah.
Yeah, she was in a prison, in a prison place with some young Belarusian activists and human rights activists, and she described the character of every person. And all these young women that sitting inside of the prison almost 10 months said to her, yeah, my father have a big health problem. I think he will die. My grandma died during these 10 months. It's not a question about these years that I will definitely become. And question is, are we forgotten in Belarusian society? Make it sense to sit inside. This young 25 years old young woman don't ask why I doing it. They asked, make it sense. She asked Tanya because she knows that Tanya is inside right now, inside this new society. And this question is so important, and that what I totally agree with Igor. This old prison, political prison, should not be forgotten. We should try all possibility. Open call to speak, because we have this informational time. Yeah, we are on the stage in festivals and on the television. We should to use it this time and to influence the people.
Can any of the other reflect? And because what I thought was really, we obviously we had a preparation meeting, and then you were saying that you really wanted to talk about the role of art and so on, and that actually you were saying, which I thought was quite impressive, Alex, you say actually the camera is always inside me, meaning I always put my lens where I think it should be put. Is that for everybody in a metaphorical sense? Is that an answer to help people in Belarus, in Myanmar, and many other places?
So I asked myself as I was in Minsk on the street. Yeah, it was quite dangerous, and for sure it was very, very difficult to shoot this film for me. I asked myself, Alexei, are you activist or are you filmmaker? Because I think you should divide it if you are making a film on the street. Because if you are an artist, you are activist 100%. 100%, because it's not possible to be an artist and to not be an activist. It's for sure. But if you choose to be only an activist, you will forget your film, you will forget your process, and you will be blind. You will not really have a possibility to observe the situation. And as an artist, you should to take this distance. You should to really observe. And it was my actual appeal, because it could sounds very strange, but I really think that right now people, as Sigal also mentioned, our camera is our weapon for sure. But right now we need also take a time to bring firstly the goal of artists right now, to bring truth from your country to the world. It's the first goal, and the second goal to give an answer to people. Firstly, for your society, for your people, what should we do? What was our mistake maybe? What should we increase and do better next time? For example, I could give you a very good example. Right now, in Belarus, we have very divided society, not as in Ukraine. But I would like to say maybe 50-60% is on the side of protest, maybe 20-30 maximum percentage on the side of authorities, and there is 10-20% that are in in immigration, inside immigration. And the next question, it's not a question that Lukashenko will go on, for sure. It's a question of time. But what we will do later, because propagandist people divided right now our society, and later people need much more time to connect this part of society, and it's really hard work. And if we as artists starting to do this work
now,
before, we will really save a time. And some neighbor really waiting to take this opportunity and to catch one part of this society that's divided from other one. I think you understand what's happened in Ukraine.
Yes, we do.
And right now it's our goal as artists to find a relation, to find an answer to these people, and to say, okay, let's speak together. Let's speak. I know you have another opinion, but look what's happened.
Can one of you reflect? I mean, I think it's breathtaking what you're saying, and I can only agree and echo. Is there one of the Corinne and Peter or Sigal or
I would like to encourage the entire audience to go see Alexei's film. It's extraordinary, very special film. And when you talk about the camera as being an integral part of you, we were just amazed by the camera work.
Yeah.
That you have these protest scenes when the protesters start fleeing from the soldiers coming at them, and the camera is still there holding the shot as the protesters run by you. So hats off to you. And I just wish you would have time to show my favorite clip in the film when you have the older actor speaking to the younger one, how they're both reflecting on how they were arrested. And the older one says, that's exactly what happened to me in 1996. They're so boring. They have no creativity, these authoritarian regimes. It's just extraordinary. So thank you for the work.
Bravo. It's honest to say, I think it's one of the most important statements of this film. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed, people.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. Yeah, but and also that you nearly have the feeling, which is very often, and I understand completely, the activist becomes a filmmaker and vice versa. But what you were saying, you have to divide it to observe it maybe better or something. What do you think of that, Sigal? I mean, you work with so many filmmakers who are sometimes also activists, and so what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite an interesting subject. It made me think of our fantastic film by an Afghan filmmaker called Midnight Traveler in 2019, which was also Sundance and Berlinale. And it's a filmmaker that got threat from the Taliban about making a film about someone that in the Taliban that wanted peace. And then he and his wife, who are both filmmakers and their two amazing daughters, had to flee, and they asked for asylum. Nobody gave them an asylum, so they had to flee or to smuggle themselves illegally through Turkey, Kazakhstan, and Europe. And it's the fascinating questions that Hassan Fazili, the director, asked himself, and I think it's very interesting. One of the topic of the question is ethical questions of, he said to himself and to his daughters, we are going to film our journey with our iPhones, and this is going to save us, because when you are, in a way, making a film about this very dangerous journey, there is a way for you somehow to keep your mind sane, because you know that you are somehow doing art as an act of resistance to this terrible, terrible situation where for months and years, actually, they had to fly and to hide in the bushes of so many countries and to be detained in so many countries. And the film asked this question. And he said, as a father of these two daughters, and I'm here now making a film about our journey, which is so dangerous. And my daughters, actually, one of them at a certain point was lost. What is my role? Am I a filmmaker here? Am I a father here? And I think those ethical questions are also, of course, we all know that when you put a camera, there is immediately an ethical question. And I think in that sense, the combination of making in one hand or acting in one hand, using, art as a tool of resistance, also to the reality that you're going to face, because this reality is so brutal, and making an art out of it, out of this injustice, out of this situation, is, of course, a way to save yourself in a way as a person. But also, of course, it raises question of that. I think what was fascinating about Midnight Traveler is Hassan asking himself, am I doing the right thing? In that sense, should I act as a father now and put my filmmaker hat aside in this very dangerous journey? Or how do I cope with the fact that in one hand, I need to make a film in this terribly dangerous journey that I have to do with my family, that I'm putting them at risk. And the only way that I feel, he says, that I can survive this is by putting the camera and by documenting it and by making a film. And at that time, he even didn't know what kind of film would that be. If the producer would meet him at certain points and would take the material so they could make the film. And it was as they go. But he was running away, he was escaping. And it was interesting to see his wife, because she's also a filmmaker, but she was much more occupied with the situation, with the fact that it's so dangerous, that they could be arrested, that they have nothing to eat, that they don't have the money to pay to these people who transfer them from one place to the other. So I think it's a fascinating question. Of course, it's there's no one answer to that, but I think we should all keep asking ourselves these questions. And absolutely, there are certain moments and in certain places that it's so dangerous that you don't get even the chance to ask these questions. You just have to somehow protect
and in
yourself.
this case, sorry for interrupting you, Sigal, but in this case, Hassan is the filmmaker, and that's his tool. But I think also where Alexei is talking about, and it's also what I think Corinne and if I may fill you in, Corinne and Peter are doing, is like pointing their camera, pointing the lens on the situations. And I mean, you Corinne and Peter know the situation in Myanmar, but you are from another country, and you are from Belarus, Alexei, but you still try to stay the filmmaker in order to show what's going on, right? That's another take on it, maybe. And here it was their weapon, maybe, to survive, I think. Don't you think, Peter, Corinne, on that level? Or Alexei?
I would like to say that in reality, the camera during the Belarus protest was not really surviving. It was a vizier. How to say in English? Vizier, you know. And right now, and right now you understand that people, if politician authorities, if they see you as a cameraman, or you as you will shot the first time, and
very dangerous.
And so sometimes it was really. I'm very grateful to my camera woman. She called Tanya also as Tanya. She was also detained, and sometimes we tried to do some crazy things. We were divided, because if I, as a man, was near of her, it was very dangerous for her. And sometimes I especially goes some meter behind her. That's people from Amman not really take care about her and take care about me. And you know, it's very crazy things if I will told you all these details. But
If I may just kind of jump in and follow on what Alex say, open as a question. Let's say, should one remain the artist or no? I would say, yes, do just stay. And I'm really speaking now as a Bosnian, as somebody who has really kind of gone through the hard times, that you get out of that with individual and as a society with such a trauma, let's say, which is deep in you and which stays with you. And most of us ordinary people don't have really words and don't have imagination to kind of transform this pain and this trauma into the stories, into the understanding. And that's where the artist should really come back to the what the Aristotle said about tragedy. It's about catharsis. It's about taking us through the tragedy in order to bring us as individuals, as a society, as the audience into the moment of the catharsis of cleaning ourselves of all this trauma and pain. And that's the reason why it is so important for the artist to try to do it. It's not easy. You might succeed or not succeed with your art, let's say, but that's what we need to try, because that helps so many other people who cannot do that.
And I didn't know if I was going to use it, but actually I think it's a really good moment, and then we can come back a little bit after that to show a clip from Burma Storybook, where somebody who is now actually in prison, if I'm right, Corinne and Peter, at this particular moment in time for Myanmar. But I think it's an amazing poem and guided by incredible images. So if it's possible, can we show that clip and then come back shortly? And I think then we have to already, time flies, let's put it that way. Incredible. I mean, for me, it's breathtaking. And I think it was for Corinne and Peter, if I got it right, it's from Mingyu Pai, the poet who is now in prison, that it was your inspiration to make the film Storybook. So shall we, Burma Storybook. Could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, we were looking to make a film about the transition to democracy. Oddly enough, this is 8 years, and which makes it so sad to see that it's back to even worse than what you saw in this poem. But and we were reading, we were getting to know that poetry is the most important art form in Myanmar, and all there were so many poets before that were imprisoned and basically survived jail, maybe because of their poetry. They could speak out and express themselves like we like to express ourselves with cameras. And so this was the poem. When we read this poem, we were like, oh, we're gonna use the poetry as a storytelling for this.
Nice. Yeah.
And then the poets turned out to be, so impressive and participative, at the time, nobody recognized this to be a poem of resistance. And that's the way it goes, is nobody ever hears from the prisoners. He hasn't been accused of, well, mostly, I mean, all the artists are accused of in Article 505, right? Opposing the regime, but publicly. But yeah. We're trying to get him. We were actually helping also with Igor to find a human rights lawyer. He had a lawyer volunteering to help him, but he got threatened and had to go in hiding himself. And now we found him a human rights lawyer who wanted to represent him, but his family has now asked us to hold back on that. So I think they're scared to. That's per case so different. Some people want to have a lot of attention, and his family is kind of deciding not to give it so much attention.
Yeah, that was a very good question from this person in the audience. Like, that's also so delicate when you should push the attention, where you should withdraw the attention for the safety. Of course,
you ask the people. You ask the people concerned, and basically you just follow what is their choice.
Yeah, like you're in contact with Tanya, my colleague who does international support within Movies That Matter. Is a lot in contact. When I think you all are. Time is sort of nearly up. What is your? Can I ask for you all, if you close your eyes 1 second and think, what was it the last 1.5 hours, what I heard, what I think that's really encouraging. That's really encouraging for the people in Myanmar, in Belarus, and so many other places where filmmakers are at risk, artists are at risk.
Keeping communities, what Sigal said, let's say, making communities, keeping communities, and then, let's say, going with kind of the solidarity together and sticking to our creativity. And that's all what we can do. That's not a lot, but that's enough.
And Igor's remarks of what does solidarity really mean, that it's an expression of love and friendship. So the people we're talking about, that they know that they're not alone. Yeah,
absolutely agree. And I think, this was also, this meeting, this discussion was very, very inspiring also to meet all of you, and of course to understand and to, I think, keep the conversation, keep the resistance through what we're doing. And I think this is really what we are doing, but we have to remind ourselves the importance of it, and that there are so many people that they truly need this support, needs this discussion, needs this. So absolutely, that's what we, in our abilities, of course. And I think it's fantastic and it's strong. This was very strong for me. So thank you all also thank you, Margie, for making this happen.
Well, that's a very humble thing, but it's to you.
If I can suggest to the colleagues, whoever is listening us and who is from the Netherlands, from the France, or from the Germany, there is a lot of total petrol stations in your countries. Don't put the petrol in that petrol station and post on your social media that you will not use the total petrol station as long as they are financing the junta. Total is doing that. Junta is using that money to kill the people, so don't use total petrol.
I think that's a very good practical one, Igor. Great. And Alexei, what's it for you as the filmmaker?
I just want to say that let's maybe let's keep the focus on this essential problem, because right now a lot of people forget the situation in Belarus, forget the situation in Myanmar, but it's so important. Look, who knows what's happened with Ukraine-Russian situation right now. And this situation also is critical, but other people couldn't forget the focus about Belarus and Myanmar. And sometimes it was built specially from some political to change this focus. And my appeal right now, not really forget about this crisis.
Yeah, it's a very important remark.
I would like
go. What do you want to say?
Is that we should also not forget that the reason why all these dictators want to arrest all the artists and the filmmakers, because creativity and art are a big threat, right? Yeah. Because we have the power to crackle through this kind of mask of power, and that's where the people in Myanmar are so courageous. They're coming out with the civil disobedience movement, with all sorts of creative tools to counter. And that's why I guess it's kind of the proof of why we are so powerful as artists, and also the artist community can really be helpful and full of solidarity.
I think that's a very good last statement. And I must say, like, this week is, of course, at Movies That Matter, we're showing many, many films. And for me, this was so important. So I thank you from a humble side here so extremely much. And I mean, this week we are showing so many films from activists and all over the world. And we, as I said in my opening speech, that's fantastic. But I know that we are not showing quite a few films which we should be showing, because there's no possibility for the filmmakers at the particular what we've been talking about for 1.5 hours, that we cannot show that. And I hope that in the pandemic, that's sometimes I'm in my mind thinking, I hope there are still local filmmakers being able, as these very courageous people in Myanmar and Belarus, put the camera on what's going on. And now we're not traveling so much. So I hope that we hold hands. A few of you know me extremely well. I'm a very warm-hearted person. I hate this not being able to hug you all. I hug you all. I hug all the people. We should, with everybody, embrace and support Belarus, Myanmar for sure, and all the other places we can. I will try from our side to keep this conversation going and these sort of panels going. For that reason, next weekend we do the same, but then on Camp Moria. We were talking to the filmmakers who are now living in Camp Moria and showing their films and talking what's going on in their situation and see how that is. I can only humbly say thank you so much for being with us today. And don't forget, be loving, be humble, as you were saying, Igor, and all the others. And I'll see you another time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.